My loves, hello, my beautiful star seeds. So I just wanted to talk about very quickly, just hopping on because reels are not long enough. Instagram, do better. I just wanted to talk about this soul phenomenon that I have experienced personally, and that I just was in session with a client who was experiencing this. And I do feel like a lot of spiritual people on the awakening path are experiencing this particular soul phenomenon. They just don't have the words for it. They just don't understand what it is. And so I wanted to put a voice to that, and it's probably something you're going to be able to self-identify with and be like, oh God, that's happening to me for sure. Okay, so let's quickly talk about this. So again, it's a soul phenomenon when you're working on your spiritual awakening. So if you have been doing a lot of work with your highest version of self, and the highest version of self is actually the oversoul. If you've been working with the oversoul a lot, and you've been, especially if you've been working with connecting to the consciousness of that oversoul, and really kind of trying to match the frequency of the oversoul consciousness, and see through the eyes of the soul, speak with the voice of the soul, really like embody that soulfulness, then you're probably going to have these moments where you have what I call the soul phenomenon of breaking character, right? So breaking the character of the human that you're playing, because you are playing a character. Like in your soul contracts, you decided what your name was going to be, what you were going to look like, what your culture was going to be. You decided all of these things about the character that you were going to play when you got here. But you're not the character. Really, you are the soul within, and the soul sits in the high heart in the body. You are truly the eternal soul within, but it's helpful to play this character. And the reasons that we do this is for karmic balancing, learning lessons, experiencing emotions, experiencing things on earth that you can't experience anywhere, using the five senses. There's lots of reasons why we choose to play these characters. So if you are, again, really spending a lot of time connecting with your oversoul consciousness, the highest consciousness that you can, you're going to experience this soul phenomenon. And it starts with phases that I call observer mode, where you have these moments in time where you are playing the character, but there's also a part of you that is kind of behind in the back of your mind, but a little bit higher, almost like looking down, observing you play the character. And you're in two places at once. And so this might look like you walking into your workplace, or you walking into a family gathering or something like that. You're taking off your coat. Hey, how is everyone? How was your weekend? Whatever. And you're kind of on this like autopilot, human conversation movements. You're doing the human play. You're like, a lot of people think of this like as being like the character in the video game is here, you're in it, and then the observer is the person that has like the controller for the video game. So can you be the character and the controller? Can you be the human and the observer, the soul observer, right? So you have this moment, again, taking off the coat, talking to everybody, kind of on autopilot. You know what you're doing, you're playing this character, and there's this part of you behind and up a little bit that's watching you do this, and they are like, there might even be like a narrative going on in their consciousness. It's like a higher consciousness within your own mind. You can have your human consciousness and you can have your oversoul higher consciousness all housed within your body. And so you might be in it playing the human and then observing yourself and thinking thoughts like, oh wow, like look at look at me go, like, I'm doing it, I'm being human. Or you might observe your coworkers or your other family like, like, I know that there's a soul deep in there. I wonder if they're, have any awareness or awakening yet. I wonder if they realize that they are, acting from programming. They're in autopilot. Like, it's just such a deep piece of awakening. It's called observer mode. So that's the phases that creates the soul phenomenon of breaking character. So if you stay, sorry if you can hear my dog barking, he's all of a sudden decided to be vocal. If you stay in observer mode fairly regularly, like this is something that you do daily and you feel like it comes to you really naturally and you just are quite an observer of a higher consciousness plane, and you're observing yourself mostly, that's the whole point, right? And that's how we learn. Then you're going to have these moments where the soul consciousness comes so far forward that it overtakes the human consciousness and you break character, right? So you're in the middle of doing something and all of a sudden you just stop and you're like, sometimes this happens in nature a lot, I feel for myself, but you're doing something and all of a sudden you just stop and you're like there's this weird, very quiet moment of deep presence where you're so in the moment, you're so in this present moment, and you're looking around like you've never seen this place before. And maybe if you're out in nature, this is where it's happened to me before, you're looking around, you're like, oh my God, I actually made it to Earth. Like, oh my God, look at this place. Like, it can happen in any place, but I do feel like nature brings that about quite a bit. And but it can happen in the weirdest moment. It's happened to me with a client. I'm in the middle of literally a client reading and I'm interacting with this person. Then maybe they're talking for a little while, so I'm sitting back and being the observer, and my soul comes a little too far forward and breaks character on me. And they don't necessarily have to know that that's what's happening, but I certainly feel it. And it's like my soul comes too far forward, and all of a sudden my soul's going like, wow, I'm literally sitting here serving this other soul in the highest way that I can with everything that I am. This is crazy. And then you get emotional and you're so grateful and it's just so big. These are the moments of enlightenment. That's what enlightenment is. It's observer mode and it is breaking character. And I just know that there are so many people that are experiencing this that just don't have words for it. And so I wanted to share that today because it was just a little thing that has happened to me and that came up for a client today in session. I thought, you know what? Does anyone even know what this is? Let's talk about that. So I invite you to share in the comments, when you watch this, if you've ever experienced that your soul has come so far forward that it's made you break character in that way. It's a beautiful thing. It feels like the most clarity, the most present. You move so deeply into the present moment. There's so much clarity to it. There's so much of this higher perspective where you're looking down on your life and being like, oh shit, I'm really here doing this. Whoa, we really up in this bitch. It's just so cool and it's so intense. And if you are experiencing that, you are really raising your consciousness. You are really stepping into soul consciousness. You are really ascending on this plane of existence. And you are also really integrating so much of your soul into your body. So I just wanted to share that with you all. I hope that you enjoy. I can't wait to read your comments and see if you've also experienced this phenomenon. Hope you have a great day.